Hi, this is tkviper, and today we're going to look at the new 2018 iPad Pros 11-inch and the 12.9-inch. So without the home button, you swipe up to unlock your screen. Still buttery smooth with the 120 frames per second refresh rate, like last year's. To access the app manager, just swipe from the bottom to halfway up the screen, and you'll see all the apps you have opened in the background. And you can close them one by swiping up, or use multiple fingers to close more than one app at a time, just like that. Unlike the iPhone 10 and above, to go back to the home screen, just swipe all the way up. If you swipe up just a little bit from the bottom, you'll bring up the dock, and from there you can launch an app by dragging it and making it float on top of the other app, or swiping down to make it split into two apps. And you can adjust the split like this, or close one of the apps by swiping right or left. Now, one of the most exciting features on this new iPad Pro is the addition of the Face ID camera unit. Everything is housed under the bezel, so there's no visible notch like on the iPhone 10 or the XS. So with that, you can unlock your phone with Face ID or play with Animojis. In addition to a few more characters, iOS 12 now lets you create and customize your own Animojis. It even tracks your tongue now. You can send 30-second Animoji videos to your friends via iMessage or just FaceTime with them. Swiping down from the upper right edge will bring down the control center. Swiping down elsewhere will bring down the notification center. Swipe right to access your widgets. Tap the edit button to add or subtract widgets that you need or don't need, and you can rearrange as you like. And finally, tap the done button when you're finished. Now on to the exterior. On the bottom, between the two speakers, we have for the first time a USB-C port for charging and for connecting to accessories. On the right side, we have a magnetic area for the Apple Pencil 2 and the volume rockers. On the top, we have the sleep-wake button, two more speakers, and two microphones. On the right side, another microphone. And from this side, you can see that they have gone back to the iPad 1 design with flat edges. Next, we'll do a quick comparison between the new iPad Pro and last year's 10.5-inch iPad Pro. Obviously, the home button is gone. The Lightning port has been replaced by the USB-C port, both with buttery smooth refresh rates. Even though it's a larger display, it's actually not as tall as the old one, but just a bit wider, as you can see here. And that's to accommodate for thicker bezels. They wanted the bezels to be uniform all around the whole iPad, so they had to make the sides a little bit thicker to match the bottom and the top. And even though Apple claims this is the thinner device, it looks not as thin as last year's, but that's because last year is curved, so you can't really see how thick it is. But if you go like this, they look pretty much about the same. So I think Apple is correct in saying that it is the thinnest device they have ever made. They weigh about the same, 1 gram lighter to be exact than the older one. So not bad. Now another major difference between the two iPads is the camera. While both shoot at 12 megapixels, only last year's model has optical image stabilization and a 6-element lens versus the 5-element one. But thanks to a newer and larger image sensor, the newer iPads should perform better, especially when it comes to video. It shoots 4K videos at 60 frames per second, double that of last year's. Another noticeable difference is the rounded corners of the LCD display in what Apple calls a liquid retina display. Flipping it over, we can see that the dock connector for the keyboard has been moved to the back of the device, and the antenna bands look a bit different from last year's. But what sticks out the most is the larger camera bump and the larger lens. But with the case, you won't notice them anyway. And on the 10.5-inch iPad Pro, the dock connector for the keyboard is on the left side. The antenna bands are hidden better. It's hard to see them. But most of all, the camera bump sticks out a lot less, and the diameter of the lens is noticeably shorter. Now let's compare the size of the 11-inch to the 12.9-inch, since everything else is the same. The bigger iPad is about 1.25 inches taller and 1.5 inches wider, and about 0.4 pounds heavier, about 160 grams more. So if you want this letter size or A4 size iPad more than a B5 size iPad, you're gonna have to pay another $200. Finally, the only other thing that is different between these two iPads is the keyboard layout. As you can see, on the bigger one we have a row of number keys and punctuations. On the smaller one, you have to swipe down on each key to access numbers or punctuations, just like this. But I think the difference in the keyboard layout won't matter too much, because most people that do heavy, serious typing will use a physical Bluetooth keyboard. So those little number keys there may be helpful just a little bit, but not worth an extra $200. You're paying that price for a bigger screen, for work, for productivity, for art. And also you can use it as a display for a Mac Mini using an app called Duet Display. And finally, let's look at the keyboard layout in landscape mode. Essentially, the keys are the same, except they're bigger, and now they're full-size keyboards on both iPads. The bigger one will have bigger control keys on the sides, and that's about it. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about my two channels, tkviper and tkviper tech. Come visit me at tkviper.com. Donations are welcome via PayPal or Apple Pay to tkviper@gmail.com. I'll catch you guys in the next one.